In the heart of post-war London, a young man named Terence Henry Stamp was born in 1938 in Stepney, East London. He grew up in a working-class household, the son of a tugboat stoker. The war years were tough. Food was rationed, opportunities were slim, and dreams of stardom felt like fairy tales. But for young Terence, there was always a hunger, something restless, something that refused to settle into ordinary life. As a boy, he was fascinated by cinema. He would sit in darkened theaters, captivated by the larger-than-life figures on the silver screen. Marlon Brando, James Dean, Montgomery Clift. These weren't just actors. They were rebels, outsiders, men with fire in their veins. Stamp watched them and thought, I want to be that. But dreams were not enough in the harsh streets of London. Terence Stamp left school early, drifted through odd jobs, and found himself searching for a direction. He worked in an advertising agency. He tried his hand at clerical work, but nothing satisfied him. The restlessness grew louder, and so he turned to acting, enrolling in the Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art. At first, Stamp was insecure, even shy. He lacked the polish of upper-class actors who dominated the British stage. But he had something else, a presence, a gaze that pierced through a room, a voice that carried weight, a look that could intimidate, seduce, or devastate. Teachers noticed. Fellow students noticed. Terence Stamp was not like the others. He was raw, magnetic, and different. The 1960s would become his decade. In 1962, Stamp made his film debut in Term of Trial opposite Laurence Olivier. It was an extraordinary baptism by fire, acting alongside one of the greatest actors in history. Critics noticed him immediately. His performance was intense, filled with natural energy. But the real breakthrough came just a year later. In 1963, Terence Stamp starred in Billy Budd, directed by Peter Ustinov. He played the title role of the innocent, angelic sailor who is destroyed by the cruelty of others. Stamp's performance was haunting, filled with vulnerability and purity. The world took notice. He was nominated for an Academy Award. Practically overnight, Terence Stamp went from obscurity to international fame. This was the dawn of the mod era in London, and Stamp was its poster boy. He wasn't just an actor, he was a style icon. His angular face, piercing blue eyes, and impeccable fashion sense made him a symbol of the 1960s revolution. He graced magazine covers. He attended the hottest parties. He mingled with the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and the icons of swinging London. Women adored him, men envied him, and directors clamored to cast him. But Stamp wasn't content with fame. He sought roles that challenged him, roles that cut deep. In 1965, he starred in The Collector, playing a lonely man who kidnaps a young woman. The performance was chilling, layered, unsettling. Audiences were horrified, yet mesmerized. Stamp proved he was more than just a beautiful face. He was an actor of frightening intensity. Yet with fame came restlessness once again. By the late 1960s, Stamp's career seemed unstoppable, but in Hollywood, fortunes can shift quickly. He turned down roles, some of which would later become classics. He grew disillusioned with the film industry, with its politics, its compromises. Instead of chasing fame, Stamp withdrew. He traveled, seeking meaning beyond stardom. He wandered across India, immersing himself in spirituality, meditation, and self-discovery. For years, he drifted between ashrams and temples, living modestly, even in poverty at times. While his peers in Hollywood were cementing their careers, Stamp seemed to vanish. Directors stopped calling. His name faded from the headlines. The once golden boy of British cinema had become a ghost. But Terence Stamp was not finished. In the late 1970s, he returned to acting. The industry had changed, and so had he. He was older, wiser, weathered by life. But that piercing presence remained. Then came the role that would redefine him for a new generation, General Zod. In 1978, Richard Donner's Superman introduced audiences to a new kind of cinematic villain, clad in black, with an icy stare and a voice of pure menace. Terence Stamp's General Zod was unforgettable. He brought gravitas to the role, a Shakespearean weight that elevated a comic book movie into myth. And in Superman 2, with the legendary line, "Kneel before Zod," Stamp carved his place in pop culture forever. Once again, he was a star. But this time, it was different. Stamp no longer chased fame. Fame came to him. He embraced character roles, choosing parts that intrigue him rather than ones that guaranteed box office success. In the 1980s and 1990s, he worked steadily, balancing mainstream films with smaller, artistic projects. His role in Wall Street showed his versatility, while The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert in 1994, revealed a bold, vulnerable side as he played a transgender woman. The performance won acclaim and respect, proving once again that Stamp was fearless in his choices. He had reinvented himself not once, but multiple times. From angelic youth to mod icon, from spiritual seeker to Hollywood villain, from cult figure to respected elder statesman of cinema. Even into the 2000s, Terence Stamp continued to surprise audiences. Whether lending his voice to Star Wars as Chancellor Valorum, or appearing in Yes Man alongside Jim Carrey, he demonstrated that his career was never about playing it safe. It was about transformation. Looking back, Terence Stamp's journey is not just the story of an actor. It is the story of a man who refused to be trapped by fame, by expectation, by Hollywood's demands. He followed his own path, whether it led to stardom or obscurity. He lived in the extremes, adored, forgotten, reborn, and celebrated once more. Today, he is regarded as a legend, not because he chased the spotlight, but because he lived authentically, fearlessly, unapologetically. From a working-class boy in East London to an Oscar nominee, from a style icon to a pop culture villain, Terence Stamp has lived a life as dramatic, unpredictable, and unforgettable as any of the characters he played. And perhaps that is his greatest role of all.